welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. Animal wrangling for us is, as always, our volunteer coordinator, Sean Snyder. And we have a little bit of a surprise today in that it's not an all-dog show. We have a couple of cats. Cats are making their way back to the adoption floor. Pretty soon, kitten season will be upon us. But we're going to start with some of our dogs. And this is our German Shepherd mix, Rex. Actually, I stand corrected. He actually has AKC paperwork, unlike most of our dogs. So he is a German Shepherd. He is not just a mix. He is the full-blown deal. He's about 7 years old, and he came to us initially as a stray, I think, and then they figured out all of his various owner information and things like that. He is a very kind of easygoing dog. He just kind of hangs out in his kennel. I took him to the radio the other day, and let me tell you, the car ride was the best thing. He didn't really care about meeting any of the new people or going to a new place. All he wanted to do was, sit in the car, look out the window, stick his nose out there, and really take that in. And that's always a good thing. People always ask, how are they in the car? And a lot of times we don't know. But with this guy, he spent a fair amount of time in some cars during his stay with us. He really seems to enjoy that. He's very affectionate. He doesn't seem to have any issues really with food or anything like that, so he's going to be a great overall mix. But because he is an older dog, it's common for older animals to have more health issues than maybe some of the younger animals that we would have. And he does have an enlarged spleen. So that's something that everybody kind of needs to take into consideration. Make sure that when you're coming and you're looking at Rex, you're fully reviewing his medical paperwork to make sure that that condition is something that you're prepared to handle, both emotionally, anything that might pop up there, but also financially with the vet care that he may need in the future.
So recently he went on an outing with some of our staff. What did we learn from that outing?
So he went on a rather long outing to meet a potential adopter. It didn't work out, but we learned a fair amount of information. Again, great in the car, very playful, loves to kind of run around and play, very affectionate. But they did also note during that time that he has a little bit of kind of like isolation anxiety. Doesn't necessarily like to be left alone, was doing a lot of pacing and things when left alone. So that's something that any potential adopter also wants to be aware of, making sure that they can handle that, work on doing some behavior modification to make him feel safe when he's alone, or maybe a family where he's not going to be left alone as frequently might be a better fit for him. So there are a couple of things that people want to definitely make sure that they are committed to, not just the fact that he's a beautiful German Shepherd when they're looking to make Rex part of their family. If you want to learn more about Rex, you can always make an appointment, come in, visit, and read his profile here. But if you want to make sure it's going to be a good fit beforehand, you can always call our admin staff at 301-600 1546, and they can email you any of those profiles so that you can review them before making those decisions to come in and visit. Our next dog has the distinction of being the largest dog on the adoption floor at about 86 pounds. This is Huckleberry, or Huck, and he is a red Mastiff mix, and he's a very handsome dog. I've never had any issues with Huck. For as big as he is, he pulls a little bit, obviously, needs to learn some loose leash manners, but he takes treats really nicely. I was in his kennel yesterday taking his picture to make him available for adoption. He didn't even jump up on me or anything like that. He's very well mannered. He does know sit, as well as some other various behaviors and cues. He's just a really easygoing, kind of laid-back guy. We were testing him. We couldn't even get him interested in any toys. He has zero issues with any type of food aggression. They're taking the bowl away from him. He just kind of looks at you like, why are you taking my bowl? Like not annoyed, just like curious as to what you're doing. He's very friendly in his kennel. He has no issues with other dogs. He walks by them without, just completely ignoring them. And he did live with another dog in his former home, so he is used to living with another dog. The big thing with like Mastiff mixes is, are you prepared for all of the drool and slime and slobber that are going to be a continual part of having him around? You can see it on his jowls right now. All of his little slobbers, they're on my pants. So that's just part of having this type of mix of dog. But I really just don't have enough good things to say about Huck. He's very sweet, and despite his size, he's kind of like a gentle giant, much like Bruce, our other very large dog on the adoption floor right now.
So Huck is friendly, calm, as you were saying, but we're recommending him for families with teens or older. Why is that?
So in his previous home, he did have some issues with some kids running around. I think they were shooting Nerf guns and making kind of whipping motions, and those types of things seem to freak Huckleberry out. Doesn't really dig those things, doesn't really like that kind of those mannerisms. And in a household with younger kids, those types of movements and toys are going to be much more prevalent and prominent. And he is large, so if he's jumping up and things like that, he could do more damage just by not understanding his size. And he doesn't really enjoy like vet restraint. We did muzzle him for those things, so we're just taking those things into consideration, given the information that we've learned about him as well as the information provided from his previous owner, to make sure that he's set up for success in his next home. If you think that a dog that's going to roll around all over your carpet and put his drool on you is going to be a good fit for your household, then don't forget to make that appointment by going to visit fcac.as.me to meet with Huckleberry. This is Cocoa Puff, and Cocoa Puff is quickly becoming a staff favorite. He's been with us for a while, but he just recently made his way to our list of adoptable dogs because he's a little nervous, he's a little shy, and being in the shelter can be rough. There's lots of loud noises, there's lots of new people all the time, there's so many smells, and it's just taking Coco a little bit of time to kind of acclimate and feel a little bit more comfortable. He is a 2-year-old lab mix. He's mixed with a lot of different things according to his owners, but we put him down as a lab mix, and he is super affectionate. Like, his favorite thing to do is just like to lay at your feet or sit in your space. Like, if you're looking for a dog who respects your space bubble, then Cocoa Puff is not the one for you, because if you sit down on the floor, he sits right on your lap with his face right here and then proceeds to lick you all over your face. So he's very sweet, very affectionate. He's still a little bit nervous, so he hasn't done a lot of playing here. He's starting to play a little bit more, but according to his previous owners, he can be quite a playful guy, and that's actually kind of what brought him here. He was playing in there with the child in the home, and they kind of started roughhousing, and there was an incident where he bit or grazed the child, and that's what brought him here. So those are just things that you want to keep in mind. When you have an animal and you're playing, sometimes that happens. It happens here, it happens at home. I think we've all had those kind of incidents. So just being mindful of that. But because he is shy and because of that incident, we are recommending that he go to a home with teenagers. So 13 and up, those types of things. Kids that are going to be a little bit more able to read the body language, things of that nature, and kind of know what the limit is for the dog to prevent those types of things from happening with Cocoa Puff in the future.
So now that Leah, our longtime boxer mix, has been adopted, Coco's slowly becoming our front office dog. Yes. What are the benefits of him being up front rather than in a kennel? So because Cocoa Puff is so nervous, primarily it's like the loud noises from the other dogs that really freak him out. So he's actually in an area of the shelter where you have to make an appointment to see him. So if you're just walking through, you won't see him. So one of the benefits of the fact that he's up in the front office is that people can see him, because otherwise, you would have to specifically ask. And it's also helping with his socialization, getting him used to meeting new people and strangers. It's also giving us an opportunity to learn a lot more about his personality. Like, his favorite thing to do during the day up there is to like go under the desk and sleep under the desk. So we're like, he really likes that. So we now put a crate in his kennel because we're seeing all of these things that we can do to maybe make him a little bit more comfortable. And again, the biggest benefit is that it's going to allow more people to see him and how he engages with the staff and people he feels comfortable with. If you think that you would be a good match for Coco and you have the patience to kind of let him warm up to you, you can meet him by booking an appointment at visitfcac.as.me. But again, he's not on our main adoption floor, so when you come in, if you are interested, make sure that you let our admin staff know so that they can have a kennel tech get him and bring him out to you.
Our next guest is Ace, and he is one of our youngest adoptable dogs right now. He's only 5 months old, and he is a wiggly mess. But when Ace first came in, this is not what we saw. We saw him, in the back of his kennel, small as he could possibly be, shivering and shaking because he was so stressed out. So it took some time to kind of get Ace to feel more comfortable with us, and now, for the most part, with most of the staff, he is your typical 5-month-old puppy. He does know some basics. He knows sit and he knows paw, but he really needs to obviously be house trained, which is something that we don't guarantee any of our dogs are, but because he is a puppy, that's definitely a skill he needs to work on. Walking nicely on his leash, little impulse control so he's not jumping all over you, but he has so many great qualities, one of which being he loves other dogs. So if you're looking to add an additional dog to your household, Ace would be a great mix. Using another dog, another puppy actually, is how we got Ace to come out of his shell. So he would really benefit from having another dog to not only play with, but to help teach him how to dog and kind of boost his confidence when he's in unfamiliar situations. He is very, very treat motivated, as you can see, and is very quickly kind of learning that him doing good things brings treats, which is, now he's sitting, he's like, I want another treat. He is recommended for no small children because loud noises and fast movements freak Ace out. We were outside the other day and one of the ACOs came up with reflective sunglasses on, and it took us a while to figure it out. Like, he was really scared of her, and that was what it was. It was the reflective sunglasses. So he is definitely under-socialized and needs somebody to show him that all of these new things in the world that maybe he hasn't experienced, whether it be sunglasses or umbrellas or hats or different noises, are safe and not scary. So just all the stuff that you would typically do with a puppy a little bit younger than Ace, you're going to have to really work double time to teach Ace that the world is a safe and fun place, and that means good things and it's not scary.
So when he first came in, we actually had a hard time even getting him on a leash, but now we can do that with no problem. Isn't that right?
Yes, yes. So when Ace came in, one of the things that we noticed is that on the bottom part of his neck, he had some injuries that are pretty consistent with ineffective use of a prong collar. So a lot of people use those things when their animals are pulling because it's easier than doing some other force-free methods of training, and that definitely led to a situation where now when we went to put things around Ace's neck, he didn't want that. He was very nervous because in his mind, people touching his neck or putting leashes around his neck, collars, created pain. So we had to do some counter conditioning where, you're starting with the leash very far away and it gives him some cheese, which he really likes. And then eventually we were able to get him on a leash. And because he does pull, we've put him on a harness so that he's not going to hurt his neck. And it's also going to be a little bit of a different mental game. It's going on differently. He's going to be more comfortable with that in the long run. Well, we can work here and then obviously continuing that on to his forever home with teaching him to walk nicely on a leash. So he is very trainable because it only took us about 3 days to really get him comfortably walking on a leash from being afraid of it and backing away from it every time he saw it. So never underestimate a food-motivated puppy and the power of cheese, right? Ace, much like Cocoa Puff, is not on our main adoption floor because all of the loud noises of the other dogs with our large dog population right now freak him out. So he lives in that quiet area with Cocoa Puff, and you can see him if you ask the ladies at the admin desk when you come in to visit, specifically to see Ace. And you can make those appointments by always going to visit fcac.as.me. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we have started to get more cats on our adoption floor. In fact, we have about 7 that they just put out the other day, and Oscar here is one of those cats. He is one of the older cats on the floor right now at about 10 years old. And people are always like, how did you get a cat that old on the adoption floor? He was brought to us because of health reasons related to his owner. We don't know the specific reasons, but that's the information that they gave us, that they were having some health issues, unable to provide proper care, things like that, and brought the cat to us. Oscar has been a little bit shy, as he's a new member of the adoption floor. Haven't spent as much time with him, but it took him a little bit of time to kind of want to come out and get his picture taken and things like that. But once he did, he was very affectionate and kind of calm and relaxed, and that's one of the great things about older cats is that they're not into everything all the time. They are perfectly happy to lay in their sunspot and get pets and things like that, whereas younger cats and kittens that everybody are looking for want to be into everything. They want to jump on stuff, climb up on stuff, get into stuff. And you kind of know what you're getting when you get an older cat. Their personalities are a little bit more set and refined. In terms of handling, he was, not super confident, not coming right up to you, but again, very accepting of petting and things like that. Comfortable being picked up for the most part. I don't know how he did walking all the way up from the cat floor, but he was, very comfortable during his exam, things like that. They're just listing him as a sweet guy with average cat behavior. According to his previous owner, he did live with another older cat, and that they said he also gets along with other dogs. And they gave us a lot of information. It's really important when you're surrendering an animal to make sure that you're giving as much information with these personality profiles, because it can be really helpful. They also gave us some fun stuff, like they found him as a stray in their backyard in Eugene, Oregon in August of 2012. So you kind of have a more full history of the cat, which is really nice.
So as you mentioned, he's a domestic long-hair cat. So will he maybe need more help with grooming over time, or need more help in general?
Definitely. When the longer fur you have on any animal, there's going to be more grooming maintenance involved. I noticed when I was petting him the other day, a couple of little mats behind his ears, things like that are going to need to be clipped out. We do have extensive vet records, and they noted over time from his previous vet that he is pretty good about keeping his fur nice on his own, but brushing is going to go a long way to preventing matting for him, making sure his coat stays nice and soft, but also because all of cats groom themselves, and as they're doing that, they ingest some of that fur. So if we're helping out a little bit and pulling out all those naturally falling out hairs, getting them in that brush, then he's not going to have as many hairballs and things like that to have to worry about either. So it is definitely more of a commitment in terms of brushing your cat more regularly when you're getting a long-haired cat like Oscar. If you are interested in making Oscar part of your family, you want to make sure that you're booking that appointment. Going to visit fcac.as.me. We do have visitation appointments available Monday through Saturday with some extended evening hours on Wednesday. Our next guest is Kalamazoo. Right now, all the cats that are going on the floor are getting named after cities. So he is out there with Lafayette and Brooklyn and Albany and all of those guys. And he is one of our younger cats. He is an older kitten. We're listing him as about 10 to 12 months old. A lot of people are looking for, tiny kittens. It's been warm for the last couple of weeks, so they will be arriving shortly. Kitten season is going to soon be upon us, but until then, people looking for cats that are young but not tiny kittens, we have a lot of options to choose from. And Kalamazoo is one of those. He is a very handsome orange, tabby and white. He's very playful, very energetic, but also very affectionate, and he's surprisingly doing really well just hanging out on a lap. But you can tell that he is very interested and curious. He's watching everything. He's looking around. He's paying attention to the different noises that he's hearing. So he's a very curious guy, and that's what our staffs stated in all of their paperwork when they made him available for adoption. They were like, he's super adventurous and likes to go exploring and things along that nature.
So as you just mentioned, we feel he's an adventurous cat. Should potential adopters do anything to prepare for such a cat?
So I always compare cats, especially our younger cats, to toddlers, right? They're experiencing a lot of things for the first time. So they're testing those boundaries. They're like, can I sit on it? Can I chew on it? Can I jump on it? Can I knock it over? Can I carry it over here? Everything is a cat toy to a cat. I've had cats in my office literally playing with rocks that say you rock. They'll play with anything. So when you have a cat that you know to be more adventurous or a younger cat, I always encourage people to do a little bit of cat proofing to ensure that your cat's not going to jump up on your coffee table and knock over your favorite vase and shatter it. All right, or you leave your jewelry on your nightstand at night. Well, that's shiny and fun and makes noises, and you might not find it for a while until you get a new refrigerator, and it's because the cat lost it under there. So doing all of those kind of cat proofing things. Also just being especially if you're not used to having a pet in the house, being more cautious about leaving open containers of food and beverage out. My cat will get into the bag of of chips if you leave it out. Like, he just will. So you're just learning to kind of navigate those things, especially if you're not used to it. But overall, he's a very sweet, easygoing cat. I was taking his pictures. He wanted to play. He was really into the string toys. So he's going to be a great companion, but with him or any cat, you want to make sure that you're kind of setting them up for success, so they're not going to do something that's going to be upsetting to you just by being a cat. Especially, when they have that very that youthful energy early on. A cat like Oscar may be less prone to wanting to jump up on your tables and things like that, because he's just an older guy. If you think that Kalamazoo is going to be a good fit for your family, obviously, again, making that appointment to visit him by going to visit fcac.as.me. I will say right now, because we don't have a ton of cats, the young cats are going quickly, so you can always submit that application before you actually come in and visit, to kind of reserve your space to make your family his potential new family. We hope you enjoyed meeting some of these animals, and hopefully next week we will have even more cats to share with you. But you can always check out what we have available for adoption on our Facebook page in our Adoptable Pets album.